Welcome to the Roguelike channel. I'm delighted today to present you with a really novel play. It is noob friendly, most importantly, and hey, you guys might take something for this, get a bit of braveness, because you will get called out in the lobby. People will expect you to do different things. And look, you're in the pond position here. That's all about the pond position, which is the place for noobs. So if you manage to snare this, do this little play, which is called a hovercraft play. Yeah. Now, there is a reason for this. So the reason I started off today, I wasn't intending to do a play guide, but the reason I started is because Dark Synth was a little bit unsure of their ability to capture the sea. They ended up doing a fantastic job, actually. But when I saw that, I was like, no, I'll help. I will help you. And it gave me the in to being hovercraft. And this is the reason to go hovercraft. Now, it isn't the super expensive, I imagine, constructors. It isn't the unit variety, which is just not there. It isn't the goons, which are bloody terrible. Look, they might be okay. It isn't even the mangonels, which I found out were not that good. I don't know the hover tanks. Maybe they're a hidden sort of... How much health they got? They got 1,700 health, right? So we're looking at that, 300 metal, 1,700 health. And people do have a go at the hover tanks for being really bad value. And I agree, for that sort of health, for that sort of metal cost, the DPS 70, it's not lighting my world on fire. And we go over to the anti-air, and, you know, like it's anti-air, it's never going to be that sort of effective, but you do need it sometimes. So I don't know enough about the bird eater. Interesting name. But there's two units which are good. It's situationally. I've never got the Magnell to work for me, and this game will sort of showcase that. But it's quite good at a T1 unit at 700 range. And it's got actually reasonable DPS. And if you look at the line of sight, it's 509, which is not too bad. So this is sort of an effective T1 rocket. But honestly, you know what? The Harbuild. The Harbuild is a star unit. I want to compare something to you, right? Look at this tank. It's got 1720 health. This has got almost 5,000 health. It has in fact got, I don't know, 150% more health. It is quite a lot more. Yes, it is twice as expensive. But then we look at the DPS. I'm not sure why it's got such a massive range on it, to be honest with you. So if you can get in with these guys, so not only has it got well over double the DPS, if you can get in close, you can do 343 damage. So these are your melee troops of death that you can use super duper aggressively if you can, of course, get to the enemy with the 45 speed. So I think they're actually a really good value for money, despite people saying hovercraft a bad value for money. These guys have their use case, and they have their use case in supporting your naval player and front player at once. So let's go and look at my first time I've ever played hovercraft. So the one thing to keep in mind with Supreme Isthmus is your C players might be quite weak. Darksynth is definitely not a weak C player, for whatever he said in the chat, but generally speaking, there are weak C players. They won't necessarily advertise the fact. And the hovercraft really fill that role of being able to get you out of trouble as far as, oh, look, I'm supporting the front, but also actually really helping out where the help's needed in the naval side. With this build, it's nothing too convoluted I've come up with. It's like 3 constructor hovercraft with the commander helping out with the energy production. So with this build, I'm not trying to scale or anything. I'm going to be stuck in T1 land. To my way of thinking, let's just try and keep this as simple as possible. I look at Darksynth. Oh, that's neat. That's what you use the transporter for, hey? Goes down here. Oh, that's hella interesting. My mind is blown. So I've just done a video series, my first one, on supporting your naval shipyard from here with the commander. But this a better idea. In some ways, I wanted to keep my commander safe, but this commander over here, I'm not sure you could possibly degun and repair your naval craft. We can see Darksynth doing a similar sort of strategy here of trying to reclaim this. Unfortunately, it has a construct turret for some reason, repairing it back up. So I start out first with some goons. I'm actually going to try and contest the island or get some presents there. That's my first initial plan. Honestly, it's a bit of a loss what to do with roguelike. The commander, I just thought coming down this pond seems like a really good idea because you don't have all your eggs in the one basket. You can have this very, very safe tidal economy. And any sort of bombardment or attacking forces, they're not necessarily going to blow up absolutely everything. I don't know what Dark Synth was thinking here, but he's moved his commander all the way out to here rather than aiding in the defence. Yeah, so see, the enemy takes down the shipyard. So that was a bit of a crazy play by Dark Synth, but must have had something in his mind. Straight away to the next shipyard. So it's justifying to me. Oh, look, even my goons come in to sort of rebuff this aggression. And you can see just how impossibly bad these goons are on the sea. I mean, that 400 health might as well be a zillion health. I do, they even got, this was terrible. Don't send goons near Navy forces, waste of time. Doesn't matter anyway, because I wouldn't have contested this island. I think after seeing that, I just went stuff it. Let's go straight for the heavy hitter units. Now, I have heard mangonels are good, so I'm going on 1-to-1 with the harbards. I think they're called harbards. Harbard. We're going to keep a close eye on these mangonels for what they actually do. So Dark Synth D-Gun there takes out an enemy ship. Ah, I'm absolutely sold on this being a stronger defensive position. Oh, this guy just transported that construction turret away from the T1 bot base. This guy's not new. He's just asking for help. I didn't even know they could do that. Wow. I'm a little bit mystified what that construction... It just must have been made for this. It just must have been pre-built to be dragged across here. Dark Synth has answered for me a very important question I had with that build. Is it actually competitive to defend the shipyard very, very early on, where they just mass attack you like crazy, Zerg rush you or such? And I was thinking probably not. You need to get the shipyard up at least. But if you're halfway through constructing it, well, Dark Synth has just answered for me. Of course it's possible to defend this with the D-Gun. I don't think you can D-Gun underwater, but on these little islands, you can D-Gun all the way out here, which is super duper impressive. Now, the one thing with the Hovercraft and why they're a bit lame is they're very slow, and you've got to coordinate it with your player, which I have a little bit of an issue here with Dark Synth because it's quite aggressive. We can see that first mangonel level missile coming off and coming in and just landing in the sea. Whereas the Harvard hits every time. Wow! Look how much damage it does. This one, bam, finally hits the mangonel. That's a big missile to come out of a little craft. So the Harvards, interestingly, and this is something you've got to pay attention to, even though they're firing on this guy in the sea, not doing any damage because he's just under the water surface. I'll show you something interesting here. Look at this. Bam. I'm not sure because it sort of half killed him and then fully killed him, the missile. So I'm not sure it has some delayed action fuse. But that shows maybe sometimes it's good to have a few mangonels. For whatever reason, I mean, maybe it's self-destructed actually. I've got no idea, but didn't even get the kill. So overall, the cost efficiency goes to the Harvards. They're winning by far. My economies, guys, is really pathetic because I don't even get a T2 bot here to help improve this. I'm doing no scaling. I'm doing really the bare minimum throughout this game. The fact that I'm able to compete in the game goes to the efficiency of these units, the Harvards. So Master Chief, at this point of time, says North Sea lost. Yeah, I can see why. What are we at 11 minutes? I don't think Master Chief has built enough units. For whatever reason, maybe they just don't really know how to play sea. They've got like a destroyer here. If you build only destroyers, I can see why you're in trouble. Also, Master Chief has been over here building this up. I thought Master Chief was quite a good player, actually. Now, something I should have done here, and there was a bit of miscommunication, is scout for me, Rogue. I should have pushed up before. And I sort of said here, just to let him know, look, they're very slow. And they are. They don't really scout. So he gets tired of me moving. I mean, really, the units he has are scouting units in of themselves, with all these T1 frigates. So we can see, even though he's got 3 urchins up, does nothing in the greater scheme of things against a naval force. Wow, that mangonel actually hit pretty hard. There's a use for them, defeating urchins. But look at these harbours. Bang! Guys, this harbour has got 8 kills. 8 kills. I don't know why he's hogging all the kills, but there you go. Also hogging all the damage. But I reckon it's a pretty good trade for 640 metal. Whew, that's a good trade. So this right here is why hover tanks are good. This navy can't exploit their wind all that much. They're sort of stuck there, looking pretty. Whereas Hovercraft, no such worries. And the mangonels are right terrorists. Look at them. Hit all those windmills. Yeah, so we get shut down, but not before basically dismantling the navy base. Still not that easily shut down, to be honest with you. The mangonels are, but the harbours go down fighting, I tell you. Wow. Leaves behind a lot of metal, of course. It still doesn't outweigh the damage that's done. Now what you might want to do in this position is a little bit more efficiently expand your eco than I've. Really fill this pond, get the T2 in there and you know, concentrate on that. And just contribute hovers enough to support the sea and the front line. Don't go too crazy with it until you can get that extra economy line. You know, just put down an experimental lab, you know, and go from there. Because that's the true T2 to hovers anyway. If you want to get T2 hovers, it's an experimental lab. So what I've decided to do in this game, instead of me doing the predictable scaling up thing, I've put all the duties on roguelike by putting him up to this faraway metal field and trying to scavenge some metal. All the while coming up in and around here to launch some attacks and get some metal extractors up here. It's not going to be super easy to do. But the way I figure it is if we can truly displace this player, then we sort of, like, who's going to, you know, contest the sea? No one. So I'm just supporting my sea player. And here we go, starting with the attack. The one thing you might want to think about as a hover player, because you can actually hover on the oceans, is to try and keep some hovercraft just behind where your hovers are for repairs and reclaim. Would be a good force multiplier. So as usual, we have the pond light green being a turd and alerting to everyone the sea player that they're under attack. Seems to be a reoccurring theme. As the mangonels are coming up and taking out some faraway targets, so it's a pretty light attack. I'm just sort of scouting, seeing what's there. Now, the thing is with attacking this island with a commander on it, you know, these hovercraft aren't the best. If there's any harbour's extreme weakness, is its range. And look at this. These guys get sniped. I thought I had enough room. I did not. And I just got mercilessly sniped. Now, I did learn something from this experience. I thought this one's surely going to go away. Yeah, of course. So I sort of learnt, like, wow, this guy knows how to snipe my guys. And of course he would. He has nothing else to manage at the moment. He has this little thing over here, which he's not even looking at, basically. So, yeah, he's super micro-intensive. Oh, and there we go. Takes out 2 more. So just like a boss, absolutely takes me out. Now, anyone sane after this would pull back. But not me. No, I'm going to go for Chapter 2. The only issue is and what I'm thankful for, is overflowing all the metal. Unable to really get back on his own feet. So, or I might have even said something bad there in frustration. Yeah, as someone says in the chat afterwards, just leave it, which would be the prudent option. Because what can they do? It's just a tiny bit of land, massively defense in their favour. Let's try and go over here and take this big bit of land. So that would be a learning for me in the future. Oh, by the way, one thing I did do, I didn't actually take account of it in the video, but the player here did comment that it pretty much took him out of the game after this, was I destroyed this whole area here with some hover takes, with some harbours. So I must have missed that in my replay. But attacking in the front line is absolutely devastating with these guys. And I think the mangonels theoretically could sit outside and snipe at some really good defences, but looking at the stats on the harbours, man, just move in and take it out. Don't even worry about the mangonels. I might change my view on that, but it just seems to be more efficient. And then if you can possibly save them, send them back out to some constructor hovercraft to repair them out and try again. Try and get that massive army. They're not fast enough to really send up here and change anything. Send them to assist in the sea and to assist on the front line, and do not send them up against a commander on the island, as we're about to see. So it appears to go quite well. I'm quite aware of what this commander can do now, so I'm getting out of the way. I think I'm doing very well, actually. But again, I don't have much else to micro, so... We almost take down this warden. And this is the issue with these mangonels, really. They can't hit any sort of moving target in a million years. Master Chief, for some reason though, I'm not sure if it's the secondary explosions or the harbour's damage, but he's down to 60%. So actually did affect on Master Chief here. So another thing you can do, of course, is send along your commander to support your forces, as well as construction bots, just because he's, I think, a little bit wasted down here for build power. Okay, so a fearsome attack ground from the mangonels. Oh, so close, taking down a warden. So you need 6 mangonels to one-shot a warden. And this is the issue. Look at this, what Master Chief does now. Newly repaired Master Chief. D-gun of the century right here. I'm just so... Takes down everything. Apart from like 2 harbours. Oh, so devastating. Like, I'm such a newbie still. I don't even know how to cloak, guys. So this is super impressive for me. Takes down that guy as well. Why not? This guy's an absolute hero. You know, at this stage, I'm like, stuff it. You must be a little bit wounded. And I've got a harbour here to support me, so... Oh, look at that. It's not really a suicide, it's just a sort of confusion. But those mangonels actually do hit a stationary target very, very hard. Now this harbour has to fight basically a boosted lab of thugs coming out. Look at this, 99%, 97%. It's a C unit facing a land unit. It's ridiculous how much more effective this is. These cost 140 each. Look how they're getting demolished. Like, taking out the mangonels. This is one of the most effective things I've ever seen in this game, up close and personal. So the fighting is tough. I've complained about this commander. Master Chief is complaining to air now, expecting someone to save him. These construction turrets really put out some repair power, don't they? Now the funny thing about all this is, yeah, I've destroyed them. Look, I left this metal extractor here, which is a mistake. It was also a mistake. Who would expect this? Just an air transport to be sitting here randomly. So this is why you've got to clear all the ground. That was a target of opportunity there. I've just left that there. Now, let's see the consequence of that, because I'm very efficient. I've actually brought up my constructor hovercraft to take this whole base. One thing you may not know about the constructor craft, because I'm not paying any attention, right? This guy's queued up. The one thing about these constructor hovercraft, if you keep on moving, you're totally okay. They cannot kidnap you. If you get still, that's the end of you. You are kidnapped. Let's see if he manages to nab me. There we go. Still nabbed. And I'm kidnapped. Now, theoretically, I could actually even be captured by the opposing force here, in truth, and turned into a minion of the enemy. But fortunately, these guys have a patrol set up and take that down. How cool is that, hey? This lone fighter finds this random air transport and blows up, yeah, everything. So, expected outcome, I guess. Over here, old noobish Dark Synth, the probably least noobish naval player, even showing me things for my own build, has this incredible defense around the experimental lab. Like, this is when you can have a forward pushed experimental lab when you have this many AA aircraft, right? So it has like 1 billion marauders getting pumped out. So well done, Dark Synth. Meanwhile, I'm just feebly, captured this. In saying that though, I've had a variety of effect, and I think even now I have some units up forward, or maybe I'm imagining that. No, here we go. My little army compared to Dark Synth's army. The way I would look at the Harvard is like a short-range Tsar, something like that. Look, it can even hit aircraft. Are you kidding me? Guys, it can strike aircraft. It does everything. Although I don't think I do very well with this attack because there's nothing else here. We're going to just cut these guys up like they're nothing. But I'm getting taken down by T3 Razorbacks, as you'd expect. And gunships. T3 gunships. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Look at the predictable fiends coming out to fend me off, which they eventually do. Look, the Harvards are like short-range stars. They're slow, they've got a heap of health, and they do a heap of damage. But they're just a little bit stubby and short-range, which is absolutely fine. Because you can't move the position of buildings. You have to move in and attack. You can't always stay on the periphery. It's not naval warfare. So for a land unit, it's absolutely fine. With naval units, yeah, you will get the destroyers will just sit off and bombard you. But if you've got a naval friend in which you're attacking their base or something like that, it's priceless. And also, if you come in from the sides like I did here, again, apologies for not showcasing that, but if you do come in from the sides here, this is very hard to stop because you're building for this, right? You're building for a push up here, so them coming up against your defenses, very hard to break through that. Coming from the sides with a Harvard, super duper easy and economical. And so if you can actually, and this is what I didn't do here, was if I could have massed like 15 Harvards, because I kept on repairing them and everything like that, and I just didn't throw them away, hell, even 25 Harvards, something like that, and come through to this guy's base, I just would have rolled over everything, honestly. I don't know what would have stopped me. Okay, so that's better in my mind. These Marauders are very good. So the Harvard is basically a slow marauder, guys, but they can actually go on the water. But you need to wait till T3. Because look at this. It's pretty much the same range, slightly more. The same DPS, a little bit more. Not close range. I think the Harvard might even have the edge. But, it's slightly more DPS. The speed, of course, is twice as much, but you're also almost paying twice as much for the privilege of having a slightly speedier unit, and the health is much the sort of same. So not too bad for a T1 unit, is it? As we can see here, these are why Marauders are king. Coming through with that much mass. We've even got a Thor, actually, to oppose the Marauders. It's not going to matter. Yeah, as we see this whole base just absolutely blown to smithereens. I say some good micro. Again, Dark Synth is smurfing us. Very, very advanced player here in actuality. Does a whole heap of damage and pretty much GG's again because of the morale loss. I think the Marauder charge plus the Ragnarok coming online, that was GG. Or the Calamity. So,
battle ended.
So I think that was a very well timed. I was about to call Dark Synth out. I'm just waiting a little bit too long with that amount of Marauders, but I think that was just perfect because that absolutely eclipsed them. So for the final analysis, I'm not saying it's the best play ever. Definitely I needed to scale more in that position. There were a lot of mistakes made. I fruitlessly basically attacked Fortress Island. Don't ever do that with Hovercraft. So it was more a case of don't do this than do this. But I think the Harbour has a really good position by coming up against that front line from the sea and also assisting your naval player at the same time. I dare say it's one of the best strategies you could use. But for whatever reason, people hate it. And people hate it probably because the other naval craft aren't that good apart from the harbours, and any craft that's a little bit slow and a little bit hokey pokey is sort of hated upon for obvious reasons. It's why I'm not a super fan of destroyers and things like that, because they keep on getting sniped all the time as they sluggishly move out of the way. But for the hovercraft, I think the harbour's a really good T1 go-to, and what you'd want to do is scale and move in experimental, so you can get marauders or something yourself and assist that way, as you can see how powerful that was. Alright, thanks very much for watching, and hopefully you newbie Beyond All Reason players can get a few tips and tricks to contribute to your team games next time. Alright, thanks very much. See you next time.